It got down to 19 degrees last night, but we still have some things that are alive. The chichimasai is doing really well in this green stalk planter. Then we have some lettuce. Then we have some parsley. And on the other side, we have a little bit of spinach you can see right there. But even though the winter weather is here and we've had multiple freezes, we still have some greenery. Then right next to that, a lot of people don't realize that petunias are fairly cold hardy compared to other annuals. This one even has some flowers still on it, even though we had those multiple freezes. Then right over here in the ground, we have another chichimasai and a tatsoi right next to each other. They look very similar, but they're a little bit different. This is kind of an experiment to see which one's going to give up the soonest when we get to the really cold weather. Of course, last night was pretty cold. I was a little late in planting our garlic in October, so it didn't get quite as good a start as it should have, but I think it'll still be all right. It's up and growing, and it'll pretty much just stay the way it is. I've got 2 rows until next spring, and then it'll take off once the ground temperature and the air temperature warm up. The little beetroot plants that I planted over here by the fence are still alive and green. And I've got them surrounded by garlic. I didn't know if the gophers would bother them or not, but I thought maybe putting them in amongst the garlic might help keep them from getting to them. Then this carrot, I cut the tops off of it, or the top off of it, and I actually put it in the refrigerator for a few weeks. And then I decided to transplant it out here into the ground. And it's got green tops growing on it now, so I think it's going to be just fine, and it'll grow flowers next spring, and then we'll harvest a whole bunch of seeds. Over here in these grow bags, we've got some chichimasai, still growing strong, and right next to it is a little bit of lettuce that's still alive. And then this bag we have some tatsoi. In the bag right behind them we've got some cilantro that had a couple of plants that were starting to bolt or trying to. And you can see they've really wilted over after that real cold night we had last night. But most of it will stay alive. We just used a bunch of that the other day when we had some Mexican food. And the pea plants look like they're just that cold weather last night pretty much did them in. They've been alive until then. Then we have those 2 carrots that I transplanted over into this grow bag for those who saw that video. And over in this grow bag we've got some mint, fennel that's just about gone. I'll probably cut the top off of it. Then we have some asparagus growing. I'm going to transplant it next spring after 2 years of growth. We'll see how that goes. Over here in the shade of the shed, we've got some sage growing, some fennel. I need to cut the tops off of that and cover it up with some more straw. They're trying to grow. They're fairly cold hardy, but eventually the tops will die. That's why I'm keeping them surrounded by straws, trying to keep them alive till next spring. There's one of those little bitty asparagus that I transplanted. It's still growing there. Then we have some oregano. Looks very much like a weed, but this whole patch is oregano. That's about all the gardening things I have going on right now. Now let's talk about why I'm taking a break. What you're looking at is a book I wrote about 9 years ago, and I'm finally getting around to finishing the sequel. So I want to take some time to finish up on some writing, do all the editing and book design and all of that stuff, and finally get it published. I also have a few other things I want to devote some time to. but the book is going to take up most of the time, I think. If any of you are readers, this is a science fiction book, the one you're looking at. It's my first book. I wrote it and I didn't really promote it much, so it just kind of sat there, and now it's languishing in Amazon's basement, and it has been for a few years. I'm hoping that having a sequel might bring some life into it. And if you want to read that first one, it's called Village E3. It's a science fiction book. It's an easy read. And I can always use some honest reviews, whether they're good or bad, and hopefully they'll stir up some life into the book and get it going again. I'll be sure to leave a link to Village E3 down in the description. If you decide to read Village E3, come back and let me know what you thought of it down in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.